Heresy Act 2 is now live, and with it, we are finally getting the last element we have been missing on the Rocket Sidearm family with the Lotus-eater Void Sidearm. Additionally, this week, we also get doubled Nightfall rewards, which is handy because the Nightfall of the week isn't exactly a crowd favorite in the form of the Battleground Cosmodrome Strike. For today's guide, I'm going to be talking about how to tackle this Nightfall with both consistency and a reasonable amount of time in about 15 minutes per run to maximize farming out the sidearm at a steady pace. So I'm going to stray a little bit from the usual strategy that most people will recommend in the boss room of this strike, but for now, let's start at the beginning. For this Nightfall, my team comp recommendation will be to have one of each class. One Will of Radiance Warlock, preferably with Speaker's Helm or the Phoenix Protocol chest piece, one Arc Titan with the Curse of the Falling Star exotic chest piece and the Storm's Keep aspect, and lastly, one Void Hunter to provide crowd control and orb cycling via Tether and Orpheus rigs. Plus, you also provide multiple ways of invisibility utility through the two aspects, those being Trapper's Ambush and Vanishing Step. For our loadout composition, all three of us opted for a linear fusion rifle as our heavy weapon, with that being one of the overcharge modifiers via the artifact. Since it's an overcharge, you do not have to worry about matching the type of surge for the strike, so feel free to throw on whatever linear you have that's best for you. However, keep in mind that the surge on your boots will still matter in terms of damage. As for other weapons, our Titan ran the Monarch exotic bow to consistently trigger bolt charge via Rally Barricade, while myself and our Warlock both ran the potential MVP of this strike, Vex Mythoclast. Vex provides some great benefits in this Nightfall. Since it's classified as a fusion rifle, it qualifies for both the overcharge damage option that I just mentioned, and also the particle reconstruction damage perk from the artifact. This makes it a very strong option as ad clear in this Nightfall, but that's not all. Vex also has the linear fusion charge up shot when built to max stacks, which can actually two-shot any champion in this Nightfall. And as a bonus, it can also chunk the health bar of the final boss in this strike for some nice bonus damage. Lastly, I also ran the Tenacious Mastery Rocket Sidearm as a form of crowd control, as well as being able to deal with both champion types in this Nightfall. Tenacious will outright stun barrier champions and freeze unstoppable champions, which in turn will then stun them. And don't forget, Vex and whatever linear you want to use in your heavy slot can also stun unstoppable champions. But for those of you who happen to not have Vex Mythoclast, a good backup option would also be any fusion rifle in your energy slot, plus the Wish Ender exotic bow in your kinetic slot, allowing you to have some flexibility to still stun both champion types. On to the strike itself. Our first tip is going to be utilizing the Night Stalker of the team at the payload portion of this strike, which will be my POV. Once you clear out the initial group of Fallen with the two barrier champions, have your Night Stalker start pushing the payload solo while your teammates jump onto the left-hand side building to take out any potential snipers that spawn. As you're pushing the payload, should any enemy actually threaten you, you can utilize your Invis Slam or Dodge to hide yourself from danger while still pushing the payload to that first checkpoint. Once there, a Brig will spawn in and stop progress. At this point, you can meet up with your teammates and team the Brig until it is defeated and proceed with the payload. Once past the halfway point, you will then be greeted with several Hive spawns, including Curse Thrall, Knights, Shriekers, Barrier Champions, Unstoppable Champions, and lastly, a Lucent Wizard. In this section, it's key to utilize your supers, particularly the Hunter Tether and the Warlock's Will of Radiance, to maximize no deaths. If done right, you should be able to chain supers back to back between each other pretty seamlessly and clear out everything in front of you with ease. Moving along to the next section, the Hive storage room, as Crow puts it. In this room, you'll be posted up by the exit door to the encounter. Initially, have your Hunter camo everyone on the team so you can have yourselves get straight to the end with no issues, and from here, you'll be able to pick off anything that spawns in this arena. Our team had myself and our Titan posted up directly at the exit door, while our Warlock was to the left of us. This allowed us to instantly stun both spawning in unstoppable champions and eliminate them with ease. This spot also allows you to use Tether and Orpheus rigs at its best potential in capturing a large part of the room when enemies spawn in, and in turn will allow you to make plenty of orbs for your fire team to keep cycling between your supers. You'll have to deal with 3 sets of big spawns consisting of unstoppable champions, barrier champions, and yellow bar wizards, with a few small trash mob waves in between. Small tip here, don't preemptively use your supers the moment you hear an enemy spawn in, as it could be just a throwaway Thrall spawn coming in that'll provide you basically no benefit. Lastly, as you progress through the timer of the room, there will be a few occasional Acolyte spawns that happen to be right on top of you. Just be aware of this and your surroundings, and try to have your Hunter be on top of this via a grenade or a smoke bomb, or even any CC weapon such as Tenacious, which will clip and freeze them up instantly. Lastly, we have the final boss room. As you all know, this fight consists of a few loops. You fight the boss for 33% of its health, He then despawns, you bring in a clone of Savathun and one unstoppable champion, then the boss is fought again for another 33%, which then leads into another clone phase with 2 Savathun clones and 1 yellow bar ogre, and then finally this will lead into 1 more bar of health for the final 34% of the boss's health until he is defeated. Now, the traditional method for most people is going to be just sit at the back pillar of the room and blink away at the boss for an hour. While this is the safest strat you can do in this room, this will eat up chunks of your time, as having to rotate down and back up for the Synaptic Spear to deal with Savathun will become very tedious and annoying, and sometimes could even get you killed. Instead, we're going for more of a bit of an offensive approach. First, as you get into the boss room, your Hunter and your Warlock can preemptively pop their supers, so your team can put down an initial well, and then a tether on top of where the boss spawns. This will allow you to have a second bonus super instantly, because starting the encounter will refill your super meter. Use this to your advantage to take out the boss's health immediately, between the Titan having Thunder Crash and the other 2 members utilizing their linear fusions for max damage. Afterwards, you can deal with the initial trash mobs spawning in, as the first big wave here will just be kind of funneling into you where your tether is, and then Vex Mythoclast is fantastic here for clearing all of them out while they're all tangled up together. Next, Savathun clone number 1 will spawn in, and with that, an unstoppable ogre will arrive shortly after. Take note that while in the Well of Radiance and having a Void Resist on, Savathun's Nova Bomb will not kill you, so you can peek with the knowledge of that and try to spawn kill the unstoppable ogre instantly if you'd like, and then deal with that very quickly. However, should she be using that arc beam ability, you should try to seek cover and then work on acolytes and wizards instead while that beam is going on. Typically here, the waves of enemies will try to funnel into the center of the arena here, so I try to utilize my second tether as kind of an anchor to get all of them bunched up together and instantly kill them with my Vex, or anything else for that matter, that would get them out very quickly. Now, after dealing with most of the room, it's time to take out the Savathun clone herself. Have your Hunter turn the team invisible, and then be able to pick up the Synaptic Spears with safety and start damaging away on the clone. But be sure to split off from each other at this point to avoid any sneaky attacks from the clone that potentially could get somebody killed. The blink mechanic while holding the spear is also very helpful here to dodge the potential attacks she has throwing at you, or even some enemy spawns coming in they have to get away from very quickly. After the clone is dealt with, the fight now repeats. The boss will spawn back into the arena, and you need to deal another 33% damage to his health bar. This time around, you can ammo dump onto the boss as he spawns in. However, should he activate the Sentinel mode, this is where you split up to just avoid the shield attack, as it can be very unforgiving and can one-shot all of you. I like to split off from the group in this case and try to cover the right-hand side wall to the arena entrance, and then looking down the center for any acolytes that could take out my teammates so they don't get flanked. Then, when the chance comes up, I will use Vex or my heavy linear to burst damage the boss until his next immunity phase. Then comes the next Savathun phase. This time, you will have 2 clones to deal with and a yellow bar ogre. For this part, we decided to have one dedicated player try to babysit the Savathun clone on the left temporarily while the ogre was dealt with by the other 2 players. Then afterwards, all 3 of us would focus on the left-hand side Savathun clone, as that is the more dangerous one of the 2. And then after dealing with the left clone, you can rotate your fire team to the left side of the arena and deal with the right clone with relative ease, as that clone is most likely going to be out of range and unable to hit you whatsoever, so you can freely just spam your Synaptic Spears. Finally, once both clones are dealt with, you can once again damage the boss for the final remaining health bar. As you've done with the first 2 phases, pop your supers and deal with him accordingly. If you have enough firepower to spawn kill him, that's great. If not, then once again, split up and take cover from the Sentinel attacks until it's safe and finish him off. After defeating the boss, crush his ghost, and you will be done with the Grandmaster and obtain your double loot. Overall, it might take a bit to get used to, but I believe this strategy will be a nice balance between safety and also being efficient with your time in farming for this sidearm, rather than taking 25 plus minutes per run sitting in the back of the map, at least in my opinion. That's all I have for you guys today. Good luck on getting your god rolls. Hopefully your RNG for the sidearm is better than mine. If you did enjoy the video or the guide that's helped you, please consider subscribing today. It does help the channel grow and is much appreciated. And if you want to go the extra mile, you can leave a like and or comment below as well. If you don't know what to leave as a comment, you can leave lotus-eater as the comment. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.